Camelot has to balance two often opposing needs. On one hand, the need to fish, to feed people. On the other, the need to preserve ecosystems and conserve marine resources for future generations.
We shouldn't do individual ones like F11, F12, and then they have a bunch of them grouped together. So you can see the chlorofluorocarbons. If we had done nothing, the ozone hole would have been about 28 million square kilometers in size. Instead, it was 24. So that's also good news. Even though we had ideal conditions for ozone depletion, the ozone hole was only about average this year. It wasn't one of the record ones. It was about average. So even though it's a big ozone hole, and that's bad, that's ozone depletion, it's a little smaller than what we saw. So that's a positive sign. So in the negative here of a big ozone hole, there's some positive news.
Well, ozone is, first of all, a filter of ultraviolet radiation. If we didn't have that, we would be essentially fried by solar radiation. So we need the ozone layer to be there to protect us.
We would be severely challenged as a species for how we would survive. That life as we know it could not go on. That most humans could not endure that exposure. Plant life would be altered. And so in order to continue growing the crops that we have, having the animals that we have, we would have to somehow remove that ultraviolet radiation. Living under glass structures that somehow did the filtering that the ozone layer no longer did.
A big population will be saved against this cancer disease. That's good news. And the second is that the depletion of the ozone layer also is causing destruction of agriculture in the world. So the response also is that the agriculture is going to be saved also.
Camelot has to balance two often opposing needs. On one hand, the need to fish, to feed people. On the other, the need to preserve ecosystems and conserve marine resources for future generations.
We shouldn't do a victory dance yet. We should wait until the ozone hole is really fully recovered. That won't happen until the 2060s, maybe even as late as the 2070s. So if people continue to emit or produce ozone depleting substances, that can make the recovery of the ozone hole much, much later. So instead of my grandchildren seeing the recovery of the ozone hole, it might be my great-grandchildren. So as long as the countries of the world abide by the rules of the Montreal Protocol, we fully expect recovery in the 2060s.